Hey y'all, it's India Sampson, and welcome back to my take, where we talk all things basketball. Let's get into it.
Welcome, everybody. I'm extremely happy to be here. My name is Darius Capers. I am from North Carolina, currently living in the Raleigh area, still in North Carolina, and ready to talk some hoops. Let's get to it.
Let's get into it. So the first thing, I wanted to get a little personal. So what made you start a podcast?
Okay, so yes. So for those of you all that don't know, the title of my podcast is the Dynastyers Podcast. Give us a sub on YouTube, give us a follow on IG. Please do that for me. But honestly, it started as just a few friends that used to play the game together. Honestly, we would play Madden. We have Madden Dynasties. I'm not sure if you know Madden. It's the football equivalent of like 2K.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we would just have online dynasties and we would just call it like the dynasties. And we're like, well, the dynasties. And then we're like, you know what? We always get on the calls and get in the parties and always talk basketball, talk football, talk sports, just talk life. And so we just kind of decided one day, like, hey, let's like get on the Zoom call and let's record this and see who listens. And we actually started on Zoom. And last year, well, we were on Zoom all the football season, all through basketball. And then this season we started on StreamYard. And so that was the platform we were previously on, we were on just then. But yeah, it honestly just started out as a few friends playing the game, just loving sports. Just yeah.
That is so cool. I personally started because I was literally so afraid of starting, because I was like, I know a little bit about basketball, but I'm like, do I know enough? I don't know. Like, it was, and then my stepdad was like, yeah, like, start it, like, do it now, like, even if it's like time, do it. And I was like, okay. And so then I just did it, and I was like, oh, this is cool, like, I like doing
Yeah.
this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome though. That's awesome. Have you seen like any like difficulty starting? Because I look at your channel. Your channel is bigger than mine. I hope to get there one day. And so like, were there any difficulties for you starting?
A little bit, because I'm always trying to figure out, especially like thumbnails. I'm like, I don't
Listen,
know. Like, I'm editing all the stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I need a thumbnail, right?
yeah.
Oh, I don't know. And so that's definitely something that's been a little difficult for me.
Mhm.
Also just finding the time to do it, like,
Right.
and wanting to do it and being like, okay, I have to do all this production, I have to get the light, I have to get the camera, and actually sit down and do it with people in my house that
Right.
are talking and all this stuff. So, that's a little hard, but I get through it and try to do it every week.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Just kind of having it with people, and out of my friends are all in different places working. It's not COVID, we're all at home. It's just kind of a little more difficult to, you know, coordinate. So I completely understand.
Yeah. But moving on to the next question. So there's been comments on my YouTube channel recently saying that the Wizards would be the worst team in the league this season. Do you agree or disagree?
So personally, I'm a fan of the Washington Wizards. I feel like they have a lot of young talent on that team. Not just Jordan Poole. They have Kyle Kuzma. They have Denny Avdia. They have a few good young pieces on that team. Daniel Gafford's a pretty solid big. I personally don't think they're the worst team in the NBA, believe it or not. I feel like there's a few other teams that are a little worse. This season, I really thought that Utah would come back down to earth. I know they were a really surprise team last year. I don't know if Lauri Markkanen is a superstar type of player. Like, I know he's a good player, but I also, I mean, Detroit's not that great of a team. Chicago's not that great of a team this season. They probably will be the worst team just because of everything. Because I'm looking at the standings now, and
Yeah.
it's them and the Grizzlies, and so the Grizzlies are going to get Ja back in after 30 games or so. So they'll probably be picking number one this season. They probably will,
Yeah, which
unfortunately.
makes me so sad because I definitely opened um this season with they're not gonna be the worst team in the league. They have
Yeah.
Kyle and they have Jordan Poole. They're gonna get up shots. Yeah, they're iffy some days, but they're not gonna be the worst team in the league, right? But I don't know. I'm not very sure about that one. But moving on though to who is your favorite player and favorite team?
Okay, so this is a loaded question. So team, I want to start there. Favorite team, I'm a Boston Celtics fan through and through. I've been kind of following the NBA game, I'll be honest with you, since about 07, 08, so around the time the Big Three Celtics were formed. So that
Okay.
was kind of my introduction to the NBA. I've always been a college basketball fan, always been a fan of playing basketball, but the NBA was like, and so just seeing that team come together and just how they played, and it was just amazing to see, man. Player though, all time player, I would honestly say, hmm, I was a big Blake Griffin fan when he came into the NBA. I don't know if
Wow.
you, yeah, I don't know if you remember Blake Griffin when he was first with the Lob City Clippers. He was a dog, man. I was such a fan of watching that team play, just what he could do. But currently, I would say, I would, of course, Jason Tatum because of the Celtics. Also, I like Zion. I really want him to stay healthy this season, man, because when he plays, he's a monster. But he just has to be on the court. He just has to play. So I would say Tatum and Zion, and then the Celtics.
Okay. I think with Zion too, he needs somebody else along with him to actually win games. Um I think I haven't like I've seen greatness in Zion,
Mhm.
but I still don't believe it necessarily yet.
Do
So,
you think it's the team? Do you think he could be better somewhere else? Because I personally don't think the Pelicans are built perfectly for him, if that makes sense. Like
mm,
they have like I like CJ McCollum. I like Brandon Ingram when he's healthy, but we can say the same thing about him and Zion. They both are always hurt. So do you think it's the team? Do you think like
I think it could be the team. Honestly, like he is one of the ones that can make a huge impact in a game. He just needs people around him to help him, put all the pieces together. So I think it might be the team. I never thought about that before, but it's definitely the team. Yeah.
Yeah, because I like Brandon Ingram. Again, another Duke guy. It seems like there's so many Duke guys in the league. That's why I love college basketball because of the Duke aspect. But
Yeah.
it's just I just he's sometimes always hurt and he's not always the most efficient, not the best defender. It's just like he's kind of a ball stopping type. Like I just feel like Zion needs a player. Honestly, a guy like Steph Curry would be perfect for Zion. If there was a world where we
Mm,
can get Steph Curry to Golden State, Zion to Golden State or Steph Curry to New Orleans, we need to make it happen. I know it won't, but more realistic, a guy like maybe even a Chris Paul. I wish they would have went and got Chris Paul. That would have been
yeah.
perfect. A guy to
Yeah.
make Zion getting buckets easier, a guy like getting Brandon Ingram easier buckets. I think that could have helped him.
No, yeah, for sure. And speaking of people, who is your GOAT? Who is the greatest of all time, in your opinion?
So I don't know how you'll feel about my answer, but I have to go with LeBron James. I have to. I have to go with LeBron James.
Explain, please.
I say LeBron James because in terms of me being born in 1998, I missed the peak of Jordan, so I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
But I did see Kobe. Have seen Kevin Durant. I've seen Steph Curry. All of the guys I've seen in my lifetime. No one impacts the game like LeBron James. It's crazy how something like 27, 8 and 8 has just became normalized. Like they were saying he was having a down season, he's averaging 26, 8 and 8. Like, how is that a down season when
No,
most
yeah.
people are averaging 26, 8 and 8? Oh, they're an MVP candidate, they're an all NBA player. And the way he impacts the game, how he can play make, he's known as a passer, but he's the all-time leading scorer. That just shows the greatness. And I don't consider just rings because if we do that, Bill Russell is the GOAT. We cannot say Michael
Mm,
Jordan is the GOAT. Bill Russell would be the GOAT if we're looking at only rings. If we're looking at statistics and rings, it should be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. because Kareem was the all-time leading scorer. He had the amount of rings, MVPs, college basketball. He's the greatest college basketball player of all time. He won like 4 straight college basketball championships. So if we're talking about accolades and stats, we can't say Mike. So
Yeah.
that's just my argument for people. What is the criteria? And then they say, oh, you guys only look at LeBron in Miami or after Miami. Well, it seems like Jordan fans only look at those 6 years because he missed the playoffs all those other years. He played longer than 6 seasons. I'm just saying. I'm just
That's so
saying.
true. That's so true. The only thing that I would have to say about Michael Jordan is I feel like when he was on the team, any team in general, obviously he stayed with the Bulls for a majority of his career, but I would say that he had an impact on people. Like he made people better. And I agree that LeBron has made people better too, but like in a more silent way.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan's like, hey, like we need to get those buckets in like right now, like today. Like we're gonna run and sprint to the Kroger down the street to get our game up. And I don't feel like LeBron does have that impact in that way. But
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I want to stay on this topic for a while because I'm glad you said Michael Jordan because this makes this conversation fun now. So I want to ask you this. Do you consider him being in Washington? He was
not
in Washington.
really.
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that because if that's the case, then what about LeBron being in LA? You know, he came to LA in a sense at that back half of his career, similar to how Mike went to Washington. But the difference is Bron got a ring.
But also the difference is LeBron is still at the top of the mountain. He's not like falling, in stats or whatever. MJ, you didn't really hear much about him playing on the Wizards. So that's the difference.
Okay, I respect that because he was on the tail end of his career. He played the 2 seasons that left, so I get that. LeBron is still playing, so that I get that. I get that. I get that. Do
Yeah.
you do you think you prefer Mike because of like well, what is your determining factor on choosing Mike over LeBron? But I know you said it was like his outward like let's go, but like from a basketball perspective, from your eye test, who is the better basketball player?
LeBron has to be the better basketball player. Okay. In
Oh,
terms of, because in terms of stats, in terms of build, in terms of, the ability to get up and down the court, shoot the ball, defense, even, um, LeBron just has to be the better player. MJ did all that stuff, yes, but I feel like my parents' generation, they see Michael Jordan as, oh my goodness, he shot so many threes. Like, and now we're doing that twice as much in games now. So
exactly.
it's like he was the first one to do it. So he's the greatest of all time. He changed the game. Like, not, yes, but also no. I think that my opinion is slowly changing about MJ or LeBron because it's always been MJ, die hard. Like I'm not going back on it because of the accolades, everything. People say, oh, he has this many rings, he has, he changed the game, whatever. And so I'm like, maybe, but also LeBron is there too. So I don't
And then
know.
if we're talking about game changing, we gotta mention your guy Steph Curry because Steph Curry has to be in that because one of the things that you mentioned on the episode for me that I want to bring over here is that you consider Steph top 5, and I'm so glad you feel that way. I'm so glad you said that because I argue with people all the time. Oh, Magic Johnson's a better point guard than Steph Curry. No, he's not. Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time. He
Yep.
deserves a spot in the top 5. If he
Mm-hmm.
gets another ring, then he's up there with LeBron and Mike, in my opinion. I'll be
Hey
honest with
man, you think if he gets another ring that he'll be better than LeBron?
you. That's going to be tough for me. I would say they'd be equal just because of LeBron, and it's going to be because of LeBron's longevity. Now,
Okay.
if Steph can do what he's doing now, another because what is he 35 36ish now
Yeah.
he's mid 30s. If he could do it another 5 or 6 seasons so he can get maybe like 12 13 14 years of like dominance, because when he first came into the league, he was a little, it took a little while for him to get going because of injuries. If he can have 14, 15 years of dominance, kind of, straight, I'll be willing to listen to that. I'll be willing to listen.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you. Because when we talk about changing the game, I know LeBron did. He made it cool for guys 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" to pass and dribble, but that was Magic first. Steph came in and said, "I can win a championship shooting threes. I can be the most skilled player on a court and be more skillful than you." And I mean,
He did
he
it.
he did it. One of the most
He did
skillful
it.
people we've ever seen.
Yeah, that is a very controversial opinion. So I want to move on to the next question. And what is an unpopular opinion that you have about the NBA?
Okay, yes. I was waiting for this question. So I know this is going to be very unpopular. A lot of people are probably going to be like, what in the world is he thinking? But I don't hate load management. I'm one of those people that don't hate it. I feel like as a team and as a coach and as an organization, you're supposed to give your team the best chance to win a championship. If that means having my superstar player play 55 regular season games to make sure he's healthy at the tip top shape for the playoffs, then I think that is what we have to do. We've seen that work. I know Kawhi in Toronto, he was load managing and they won the championship. So it works. I feel like I'm not against load management. That's my unpopular.
Okay, that is a very good point because I was like, low management is. I was on the fence. I was like, they should definitely have their players, their star players out, especially if it's two consecutive games,
Right.
But low management is definitely something that is like, if you're hurt, you're hurt. Like,
Exactly.
if you need to breathe for a second, breathe, And so maybe low management is a good thing. I don't know.
And I just think about it, essentially that season, that 2019 season with the Raptors winning that title, it essentially came because a player chose to play while hurt. Like Kevin Durant was injured. I mean, he hurt
Yeah.
his calf. He went out there and was still trying to play and tore his Achilles. And that kind of changed history because, like you just mentioned, if Steph has 5 rings, we're looking at Steph completely differently
Yep.
than we are now. So that you just look at it like that. That team would have three-peated. That would have been the first three-peat since what I believe the Lakers did it with Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would have been crazy to think if load management and if putting player safety first was actually the concern of NBA teams.
So speaking of finals, you mentioned the Raptors, and I want to get your finals prediction for this season.
Okay, yeah. So finals predictions for this season. And no, I'm not just choosing these two teams because they're first in both of the conferences right now. But I am going to go with Denver and I am going to go with my Boston Celtics. The Celtic pick is probably because I'm a fan, I'll be honest, want to see my guys there. But Denver just has the best player in the NBA, the most complete team, it looks like. I mean, Jokic is he's just crazy, man. I never seen a big man who isn't really athletic and
Right.
can't really like dominate physically, like just dominate the game. He's just smarter than everybody, more skilled. It's just crazy. And with my Celtics getting Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, I feel like those were the two moves we needed. I hate to lose Marcus Smart, but I feel like that team reached its ceiling. And
Yep.
so I think that'll be a good NBA Finals prediction. And my Celtics will win in 7, by the way. Celtics will win in 7.
Celtics in 7. Okay. Marcus Smart, definitely. I was like, he's going to Memphis. Ah.
Yeah, and initially when I saw us trying to trade for Porzingis in my mind, I'm like, okay, as long as we can keep Marcus Smart, as long as we can keep Marcus Smart. But then when we had to trade him, at first I was like, man, like you said, like, wow, we got rid of Marcus Smart. That's our heart and soul. But then again, it's like, well, last playoffs he didn't play that well. I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't defending Steph Curry that great in the finals. So I mean, let's just try something new. Drew Holiday is essentially an upgrade to Marcus Smart, in my opinion. So
I
I'm
think
not
so
mad about it.
too. And Porzingis, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
he plays great with them. He fits.
yeah, definitely. We lost Robert Williams and replaced him with Porzingis. I feel like that's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win.
Yeah. I also feel like I was gonna mention because you said in 7. They're gonna win in 7, right? So I was watching the series with the Warriors. Obviously, they won, and and it to me though, like yes, they won, but when Jason Tatum walked off that court, so sad. I was like, well, maybe next year.
And next year came and we ran into the Miami Heat. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what it is about the Miami Heat, man. Jimmy Butler, he'll play average all season, and then when playoff time comes, he turns into Michael Jordan. So I don't get it. That was supposed to be our year to win it because, well, if we were to play Jokic last season, we probably would have lost too. So I don't really know, but this team, I like our chances. I like our chances. I
Yes.
just don't want to see Steph Curry again.
Why not? Why not? If he wins another ring, he could be greatest of all time.
Yeah, but then that means he beat my Celtics twice. And then Steph Curry is going to go on that list of where LeBron used to be when he kept beating my Celtics in the playoffs. I don't want that because I like Steph.
Okay, okay.
I like Steph.
Yeah. But speaking of Jimmy Butler though, how do you like his media day picture?
Personally, I was a fan. Look, before I cut my hair and went back to the waves, I was about to get it. Jimmy, I'm a fan of yours. I was about to get the perm. My hair was long, past the
Okay.
shoulder it was about to be. No, all seriousness, man. I think he's just doing stuff to keep himself like entertained. I feel like he honestly was a little hurt they didn't get Damian Lillard this offseason. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that was him kind of like outwardly showing his his displeasure with it. Uh, I do think they need to make a move though. I want to mention Zach LaVine to the Heat. Keep an eye on that. I
Hmm.
think I could see that. I could see that happening.
Okay. Okay. That's a good thing. I think it's time for Zach LaVine to get up out of Chicago.
Yes.
Like he's been there way too long. Chicago is kind of more or less
Yeah.
trash. Um, so yeah, that would be good though, I think. Yeah. Speaking
Yeah. I
of
like that.
the Bulls, do you think Lonzo Ball will ever play an NBA game ever again?
Yes. So this was another topic I couldn't wait to talk about, man, because when I saw it, I was like, yes, Lonzo. Like, that's a name we haven't heard in a while. And again, being a college basketball fan, I remember what he did at UCLA, and that was a time. He was just dominating the game on really a level we hadn't seen up until that point, really. And so it's my hope that he does. It truly is. But I don't know, man, because I talk to people about this all the time, and I can actually relate. I tore my ACL
Oof.
before I was supposed to be, getting to play college basketball. And
Oh wow.
I, like Lonzo Ball, lost all my athleticism. Like Lonzo, it seemed like he hasn't been able to recover. I similarly was never able to recover. It's just something that some people can't. And so I don't know. I really don't. I hope he does, but it's not looking likely. And
Yeah.
and I truly blame his dad. Looking at it
Mm,
now, I blame his dad because it's speculation that it was the shoes he wore, like high school, those like ZO2s.
yeah.
Yeah, he did a podcast about it. He did an interview and he was saying, like, yeah, those weren't ready. I would have to change them every quarter. And so like just the ankle injuries, the knee injuries, and just that buildup. I truly think that's what it is. And so it's unfortunate. Like you said, he may never play again because of that.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know about the shoe thing, but I definitely, also used to watch Ball in the Family, so I know like
Yeah.
all about that. But speaking of too, how about Leangelo? Because he was supposed to be in the league. He went to the Hornets G League, then he got waived, which how do you get waived from a G League roster? I don't know, but what do you think about him?
So I always, like you, was a fan of the ball in the life or ball in the
Ball
family.
in the Family, yeah.
Ball in the family. I forgot the name of it, but I was definitely a fan of like following their podcast just because like I liked watching them play basketball genuinely. Like when they were in high school together, those three, they were unstoppable. And I always thought he was the least talented of them,
Mm,
if that makes sense. I always thought LaMelo was the best. I always thought Lonzo like thought the game and knew the game the best. And
yeah.
I always thought like LiAngelo was just kind of just the third guy,
Mm,
So him kind of getting waived, I'm like, I kind of expected it. I wasn't really that high on his talent. I wish he wouldn't have done what he did at UCLA to get kicked out of school,
Yeah.
but he's okay. He's okay. I'm not high on him. I don't really have a big opinion. I didn't think he
Right.
was that great of a player.
Yeah, I totally agree. Really don't think LeVar is gonna get his, three
His
sons
wish,
on the same team,
right?
kind of thing. On the Lakers specifically. Um,
It,
but
it, it I thought it was going to happen at one point in time. I'll be honest with you. When they were in high school doing their thing, and like Lonzo was a senior, and LiAngelo I think was like a junior, and LaMelo was like the youngest, I was
yeah.
like, yo, they have a chance. They're all 4 or 5 star guys. Maybe they all make it to the league. But like you said, more power to them, making a family. More power to them.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is the end of the interview. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it, especially it being my second interview. Um, but do you have any like words of advice? Are you starting a new venture, podcast, YouTube, whatever, that we need to know about?
Okay, so thank you for your time for this interview. This is my first interview, so I was nervous going in. Um, as far as new ventures, no. Like I mentioned at the start, the Capers Cares Foundation, they are actually doing a turkey giveaway in the Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill area. So if you follow us on Instagram at the Capers Cares Foundation, you can see information on that. Also, sub to us on YouTube at the Dynastyers podcast. Stay up to date with that. If you're a J. Cole fan, you just saw information about Dreamville. And last year we gave away Dreamville tickets. So
Oh,
we are looking to do that again. Yes. So
I
if
might have to
you
enter. Sorry.
yes, go ahead, enter. Yes, please do. The information will be coming out on Instagram. Shout out a couple friends, tell your friends to shout out a couple people because yeah, we did. We gave away free Dreamville tickets last year. A girl and one of her friends went. So yeah, stay tuned. Just sub and follow and got good stuff coming.
Yeah, so thank you so much. That is it for this video. Make sure you guys tune in next Sunday for my video next week. See you guys in the next one. Bye.
Yes, 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 yes. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Dynastyers podcast. What's good, party people? It is your boy, Kung Fu Kate. The podcast is going up. But yes, conversation now has shifted though. It's no longer a Joel Embiid versus Nikola Jokic. It's a Nikola Jokic versus the legendary bigs that have played this game.